Ernest Rossi was a Freudian analyst, a Jungian analyst, and a professor of neuroscience. He was also the closest student of Milton Erickson, training under him in hypnotherapy. Rossi's work focused on the integration of hypnotherapy with psychophysiology, specifically how it could be possible for hypnotherapy to exhibit the rapid and efficacious results it was capable of generating, especially for complicated psychosomatic presentations. To do this, Rossi introduced a new psychodynamic, the equivalent of complexes in Steve and Pauline Richards' model. He called this state-dependent memory, learning and behaviour, or SDMLB for short. An SDMLB is a systems profile within psychophysiology, not a discrete thing per se, but rather the movement of information from the psyche and the brain down into the body via messenger molecules, whereby said messenger molecules would act to regulate gene expression, to subsequently signal via the output of modified gene expression a change back up to the brain, and by extension, the psyche. Psychosomatic symptoms were thus state-encoded. They had a psychosocial etiology, or cause, but were stored in a looping network of information, from mind down through specific pathways to the body. Hypnotherapy was understood by Rossi as reversing that pathway, restoring it to its natural baseline setting. That is, a healing change initiated through gene transcription which alleviated the persistent symptoms. The specific pathways Rossi outlined through decades of biological study include the neuropsychoimmune and the neuropsychoendocrine pathways, with an enormous study of the role of neuropeptides in both. Let's have a look at one of these in more detail through a direct quotation from Rossi from 2004. Quote, "Information from the outside world is encoded in the neurons of the cerebral cortex of the brain, which is then transformed within the limbic, hypothalamus, pituitary system in the messenger molecules that travel through the bloodstream to signal receptors on all cells." So, in short, Rossi is saying that psychosocial information has presence within the brain, and this is then transduced into messenger molecules. 2. The receptors on the surface of cells transmit the signal via secondary messengers to the nucleus of the cell, where immediate early genes signal other target genes to transcribe their code into messenger RNAs. So, Rossi is saying that these messenger molecules kickstart an intracellular signaling cascade, with a trajectory towards modulating gene transcription. 3. The messenger RNAs serve as blueprints for the synthesis of proteins that will function either as A. the ultimate healing structures, the soma of the body, B. enzymes to facilitate energy dynamics, and C. receptors and messenger molecules for the informational dynamics of the cell. So Rossi's saying here that RNA is translated into protein, which one can consider, though this is an oversimplification for explanation, the active form of DNA. This protein then carries out specific healing tasks. 4. Messenger molecules function as a type of molecular memory that can evoke state-dependent memory, learning and behaviour in the neural networks of the brain that are encoded and transformed by body psychotherapy. So finally, Rossi is saying that the messenger molecules are released from their cells and make their way back up to the brain, which state encodes the neurological, and hence psychological by extension, activity of the SDMLB. Neither Jung, Janet, nor Freud and Breuer had anywhere near this level of biological understanding. By means of a milestone, Watson and Crick only discovered the structure of DNA in 1953. Jung was 78 years old by then. Janet had already passed away in 1947, and Freud even earlier in 1939. The dawn of molecular biology, which Watson and Crick's discovery brought about, allowed Rossi to make his discoveries, and he continued to update his pathways right the way through into our current post-human genome project era of genomics. Through Rossi's work, we can biologically model the so-called mnemic symbols which Freud and Breuer identified. So too, how Janet's subconscious fixed ideas could manifest in physical hysterical symptoms, and how Jung's complexes could be both psychological and physiological at the same time. Through messenger molecules, the psyche extends into the body, moving information from one place to another, and holding it in place, i.e. a psychosomatic symptom, for a long period of time. So too, how hypnosis could interface with the genome via messenger molecules through to transcription to deliver rapid healing change. Rossi was an inspiration to Steve and Pauline Richards. He personally supported their development of psychosystems analysis, and he worked with them on highly complicated clinical cases implicated with significant psychosomatic symptoms.